So it's like 6:30 in the morning. My son's watching little cartoons and checking out the news. What's going on today? What's been going on? I'm I'm stoked about Kanye West and Trump talking. I mean, just listening to the way they talk about each other shows you that there's a relationship there, right? And it's really good to see something like that. And I really think Kanye's got a lot going for him. I know sometimes he's hard to understand and he can be kind of cryptic, but I think that just shows you that he's really networking a whole bunch of concepts all together. He sees the big picture. He's a very big picture oriented kind of guy. And you find that with artists. I mean, that's how I operate. And my wife, she's very detail oriented, and we complement each other, and we fight because of that too. But my point is it's good to see things like that, and it's good to figure things out. And the only way that someone who's detail oriented, someone who's big picture oriented, can really come together is if they identify the terms that they're using. If they can come to an agreement on where they're each coming from, and then the other party is trying to understand where the other person's coming from, and that they're using active communication. And I'm just thinking about all this stuff that's going on. These mobs, these protests that are turning violent, and then you got these news organizations that clearly have their political agenda. They want to redefine what a mob is. They want to redefine what a protest is. You got Maxine Waters saying that that a mob is not a mob. She's saying that it's a protest, unless of course it's a different party doing the acting as a group, saying what they want to say. It's like, look, we have lost control of the education system. We've lost control of how to communicate with people that have differing opinions. And we need to realize that first. There's no way that we're going to have civility if we're not working from the same terms, same definition. People want to start changing what things mean. That's when you're starting to have problems. That's when people say, oh, so-and-so doesn't understand me. Well, of course they don't understand you, because you're using a term incorrectly, your definition of something is completely different than someone else's definition. And you know what? You could say that's okay so long as you try to understand what the other person means. But the problem is no one wants to do that. Everyone wants to just win. They just want to win their argument. They want to win their side. And the thing is that is not how you come to a conclusion. It's just not. It's not how there's no win-win scenario here, and there should never be a lose-win or a win-lose, because what happens is everyone loses when there's a win-lose scenario. You need to have a win-win scenario. The only way you can do that is if you're willing to suspend your goal to turn someone over to your side of the opinion and listen and understand if the other person even knows what you're talking about, and listen to understand if you even know what the other person's talking about. Look, there's clear definitions here of what a mob is and what a protest is. And when a protest becomes violent, or when people go out and they say it's a protest and they are violent at the start, and they have violent rhetoric, that is a mob, okay? If someone goes out and they have a protest and they're firm about what they believe and what they're saying is non-violent, but it's a firm statement. And what I mean by firm, I mean that they're not saying we should go out and take people out. I'm saying that they should go out and they should say what they stand up for. It's non-violent. And it should turn non-violent. It should stay okay. And if anyone comes and tries to antagonize a group like that, they are inciting violence. And it is the people on the outside trying to cause a group of protesters to become violent. I'm sure anyone is going to agree with me on this, that you can get people to act violent if you antagonize them. You know, some people don't have cool heads. You know, some people are just not chill. Some people get easily upset, and some people are passionate about their things and they get upset, and it's like, look. That happens. Do not try to cause people to get upset. That doesn't help progress in this situation where we have such disconnect. You have to listen to what people want. You have to come to some common ground. You know, look, I don't really like Steven Crowder all that much, or whatever his name is, Crowder. But I do like his Change My Mind series, because he isn't pushing his agenda on anyone. And you might be saying, like, whoa, look at his signs. You know, it says, change my mind. And it might say, like, you know, rape culture is a myth, or, gosh, I can't even think of it. There are two genders, change my mind, or whatever. You know, you might say that that's aggressive. Look, he's trying to start a public conversation, okay? And there's all kinds of things people can say. Well, it's not public because he's only talking to one person, or he doesn't have a speaker, so other people... No. It's going on the internet. You can have a conversation that way. Look, whine about all you want. He's trying to have a conversation, okay? He's trying to come to common ground. And you can hear him say that every time. He has definitions. He has statistics. He has solid data that both parties can use and sway their position. Now, here's the thing. If you're emotionally charged and you don't have a handle on your emotions, you're not going to be very good at articulating your argument, because logic and fact, they outweigh emotion. It doesn't matter what you feel like, okay? You know, it doesn't matter how you feel. It matters what is real, what is objectively true. And this is where a lot of the bullshit starts, is in school, when people start saying, well, my truth, or, you know, another truth could be, and it's like, that shit is garbage. Okay, now listen, I get that sometimes people have, you know, an emotional response to something. It makes them feel a certain way about a particular thing, and it becomes very real for them. Regardless of what the external reality is, to them, it feels different than what is really out there. That is called emotion. That is called, you need to get a fucking hold of yourself. Calm down. Spend some time, you know, feel how you feel, but you need to calm down and start looking at the facts. You need to start being more objective and stop being so shallow and so self-centered and self-important about how you feel about something, okay? How you feel about something needs to be supported by facts. You could be, look at Martin Luther King, okay? The guy was very passionate. He was very passionate about some factual stuff. He wasn't out there just spouting off at the mouth saying some bullshit. He was saying real stuff, and he meant it, and it resonated with people because it was backed up by facts, okay? You know, you start going out there and you just start yelling stupid shit without knowing what you're talking about, people are not going to listen to you, okay? Because you sound aggressive. You can't be approached, and you're not letting anyone else in to even understand what you mean. And you know what? A lot of times, people don't even realize what they're even trying to say. They just don't feel good. Most people, from my experience, when I talk to people, they don't even have a very clear idea of what they have going on in their own head. They're just emotionally charged about something, and they're swinging from vine to vine, from the next emotional trigger to the next emotional trigger to the next emotional trigger, and they're not letting themselves slow down, put their feet on the ground, and think about something for a little bit, okay? And that's what you get these news cycles, okay? They're just trying to get people triggered. And it's like, come on, like, you need to take a break. You need to let this stuff digest, okay? And you need to think about things objectively. And you need to start using universal terms, okay? Things that people understand. You can't just start calling, you know, like this wall behind me. Is it tan? Is it brown? Is it white and khaki? Or what is this? Like this color, this color is within the brown or tan family, right? But in order for us to talk about this, if I want someone to paint another part of my house, we have to come to an agreement here that this is a certain color, okay? And we can't just say, oh, it's brown. And then someone goes out there and makes something darker brown or lighter brown. Like that. Look, you got to come to an agreement. And this wall could get called all kinds of stuff, and that's totally fine. Totally fine. The idea is you need to come to a goal, an objective goal, that is to paint the house a certain color of your liking. And that goes across all categories. People want to call things whatever they want to call them, but it takes two to tango. You got to know what the sound of the music is. You got to agree on it, and you got to know what kind of dance you're going to have. You can't just, both of you can't just start dancing. That's why our country is so divided, is that you got 50% of the people disagreeing with the other 50% for the most part. Okay, let's come to some common ground. Let's start defining our terms and start having a conversation. And if you're going to do a protest to make a point about something, don't antagonize the other group, okay? Don't antagonize the other group. Let them be, okay? And stop yelling in people's faces. Just stop going up to civil servants and yelling in their face. That is just, you discredit yourself, okay? You know, I can't stand it when I see the Democratic Party going out there saying some outlandish shit, which, look, I get if you feel a certain way. That's fine. But you need to get a hold of yourself. And if you want to make a point, don't do it like a crying 2-year-old. Look, I got a 2-year-old, okay? And when he doesn't like something, I know. He cries about it. He starts yelling and gets upset. And you know what? I don't take that shit. Neither does my wife. Because if you give in to that, then that's the kind of person they're going to be, okay? Now, I don't think spanking my kid's a good idea, because for him, he's prone to wanting to hit back. And it's hard to defend yourself saying like, well, I can hit you, but you can't hit me. So I have to figure out ways to encourage him to choose a better path, right? I have to give him timeout. Sometimes I put his toys on timeout, and he doesn't like that. You know, how many times were you in, gym class or on the football team or in some kind of physical activity where if you didn't do something the coach liked, he made you and the team do push-ups, right? Think about that. That's what I do with my kid. You know, his toys get in trouble, okay, if he doesn't do what he's supposed to do. He doesn't brush his teeth. He starts messing around. Hey, you want Lightning McQueen to go on timeout? He's going to go on timeout. Okay, starts brushing his teeth. 2-year-old brushing his teeth, potty trained, all that stuff. He's a good kid because he has discipline, okay? And I don't give into screaming, crying, emotional babies, okay? And he's becoming a lot more mature. He's controlling his cry. I say, do you get things when you whine? He goes, no. Do you get things when you cry? No. Okay, well, I know you don't feel good. I know you don't like what's going on. So I'm doing my part to understand him, and we're trying to get on a common ground here. Do you get what you want when you act extremely emotional? No. That's basically what I'm communicating to him. Adults, Democratic Party is lefties. Come on, guys, what are you doing, man? Like, you need to understand that people are not going to give you what you want when you act like a baby. Stop acting like a baby. And maybe people have given that to you, and I don't know, maybe some of you you're stuck. You just can't get out of that. I don't know what to say about that other than you need to get a hold of yourself. You need to realize that that is not the answer. And if you want to exist in this civilization, you need to get with the program. That is, people who are in power don't act like that. And unfortunately, there are a few of them who do. A few. You got Maxine Waters, you got Nancy Pelosi out there, you got these people that are protesting on behalf of them that are being empowered. They're getting paid. These are paid actors too, which is totally ridiculous. Some of these people are just paid. Some of these people are mentally not right. And it's like they're being taken advantage of. That is not the majority of Democrats, in my opinion. I cannot see that the majority of those people agree with this. And it's like, look, like, we need Democrats, okay? There's a lot of Republicans, okay? But we need Democrats because we need some balance here. You start throwing too many people on one side, and you're going to have a problem. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. If you can't act normal, what do you think's going to happen? You're going to have a huge swing, and you're going to have this red wave that everyone's talking about. And it's like, look, I'm not necessarily against the red wave because I can't see anything better out there at this point. And I wonder how many people are with me on this. It's like, come on. Like, just how many people are with me on this? Like, I cannot stand the ridiculousness that's coming from the Democrats. It's like they're encouraging people to be babies. They're encouraging people to be violent, okay? There's violent people out there that are getting away with it because you got the news media out there that's supporting it, calling them, oh, they're just protesters that ended up, fighting other people, and no, that's not a mob, and no, they weren't being violent. Yes, they were. Like, go look at the video. It's totally obvious that these people are trying to go out there and incite violence. And you have people like Maxine Waters calling for that kind of crap, and you got a lot of these groups that are saying, like, hey, when they go low, we go high. No. When they go low, we kick them. Like, come on, dude. Like, come on. That is not okay. That is not civil. You got Hillary. Come on, Hillary. What is going on with you? Saying you can't have civility until, like, the House or the Senate has power. That is so take things by force. Like, what is going on? Like, you're isolating other people. You're isolating another half of America when you do something like that. Like, that is not looking out for the best interest of the country. That is looking out for the people that seem to agree with you. And that is not okay. Look, if I was only looking out for myself here in my own house, I'd be doing stuff that I wouldn't care what my kid was doing. And I'd be playing video games or doing whatever. I wouldn't be looking out for my wife. I wouldn't be paying attention to what she needs, what she likes. I'd be worrying about what I want to eat for dinner. No. No, you need to be looking out for everyone as a whole. And I get sometimes people don't get everything that they want, but you have to work hard for a win-win. You got to find common ground. You have to use terms that everyone agrees on, everyone understands the origin of them or what you're actually getting at. We all have to focus on not winning for ourselves, but understanding our opposition. And we shouldn't even be in opposition with some of these people because they're our neighbors or family members or spouses or children. We shouldn't be in opposition. But if we find ourselves on the opposite side of an argument, it's typically because we're not defining our terms. People make too many assumptions. They assume someone should already understand something, and they don't. Someone assumes that you say, like, I might say one thing. The person who's listening might understand something completely different, and then they make the assumption that I understand something that they're saying. And then before you know it, within a minute of the conversation, we are thinking about two separate ideas. We're on opposite ends of the spectrum, and we're never going to agree because we make too many assumptions. If anything, assume the other person doesn't really understand where you're coming from, because then that way you can talk about things a little bit more. You can ask, well, what do you mean by that? That, like, one of the things I don't like about videos, and I'm going to be wrapping it up here real quick. One thing I don't like about political videos and stuff where people are pointing out all the negative or all the problems is that they don't typically find solutions or give people ways that they can fix stuff. Here's a way you can fix it. Always ask the question, what do you mean by that? I'm not kidding. That question answers so many things, and sometimes you have to ask that question four to 7 times in a row, because some people don't really know what they mean by that. They'll be like, well, what do you mean by that? And they'll be like, well, blah, 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 blah. And if you listen to them, they're not really explaining what they mean. They're just talking about something else. And it's easy to get wrapped up in what they're talking about and start talking about something other than what the actual point of the conversation is about. And you have to have control. You say, okay, I don't really understand what you're talking about there because it doesn't seem related to the topic. So you repeat what they had just said, that you didn't understand originally, and you say, what did you mean specifically about this thing? Not what you just said, but what you said just before it. What did you mean by that? So it's the second time you had to ask. And then they'll think about it a little bit more, like, oh yeah, what did I mean by that? Well, I guess I mean, and then they'll maybe give you an example of something, and you go, okay, I can see how that example kind of relates, but there's a little bit of a disconnect because that's not exactly what's really going on. You find out that they're arguing, like through like a straw man fallacy. They're kind of giving you an example that doesn't quite fit, and so you kind of point that out to them, like, okay, well, that example doesn't quite fit because this isn't really apply here in these ways, and they might start getting mad at you because then eventually they realize that they don't really know how to explain what they're talking about, and that's okay because sometimes we don't understand everything. Like, I've been working on a project in a business. It's been 10 years I've been working on this project. Some people might call that really unsuccessful, and other people might call that figuring it out. And you can find success on the way to figuring it out as long as you stick to it, as long as you keep working at it, and you don't get upset, and you don't pout, and you don't go around looking for other people that are looking to just support you without asking you questions. It's difficult getting to success. And so my point is sometimes in a conversation, it doesn't end very quickly. It doesn't resolve quickly because some people don't really know what they're really even talking about. They don't know what they really are thinking. They don't know what they're actually trying to express, and they have to take a minute and think about it and then come back to them, or they need to come back to you and tell you what they think. And that is how dialogue happens. That is how progress happens. That is how we can break through this disconnect, is that it takes time, it takes patience, and it takes focus. And you have to figure out what people mean, what they're talking about, what they're saying. So ask the question, what do you mean by that? And ask it multiple times and focus on the subject. Don't let things get derailed because that's how conversations just digress and fall apart. So that's my 22-minute spiel. I don't know if it's worth anything, but I don't know. Just had to put it out there.